Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. As you can see, I'm joined, by Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. And it's that time where we want to share with you what's going on in the Myrtle Beach real estate market. So, Abe, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely, Greg. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Well, the market is active. There are transactions going on, but I keep getting the question, hey, are the prices starting to come down? Not only do I hear that from buyers, I'm hearing that from sellers. Sellers are just trying to figure out, well, what's my next move? I don't know how many sellers that have said to me, boy, I wish we would have put it on the market 6 months ago. I wish I would have put it on the market at the beginning of the year. 2020 hindsight, there's a lot of moves that we would make that we didn't make, right? We always know what to do after the fact. But the reality is we are where we are, and things are probably not quite as bad as maybe some people believe it is. But we just want to make sure that we're sharing with you the statistics. Some of those statistics is scrolling right below. But Abe, let's dive into it. So, I want to let's just talk the numbers, and then we'll kind of go into our prices coming down. But we'll share some numbers and let's have a little dialogue around that.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of numbers today, so there's a bunch of data. What I'm going to do is pull it up on the screen.
Okay.
Because I tend to talk fast, so I want to make sure people can see it.
Good
But
idea.
before we dive into numbers, I want to clarify something, Greg. Look, for week after week, we've been doing these videos, and the one thing I want to make sure people are aware of, we will not say something as being fact unless we have some data to back it up, right?
Yeah.
So for a couple of months now, you and I have been feeling like, okay, the market's definitely, we can go way back where we felt like, okay, this is coming. The market's going to soften up. It's been softening up, but the data wasn't there yet. Then eventually the data got there. Then the last 2 months or so, people kept saying, look, have prices come down? We think prices are going to come down. We've been reluctant to say yes because the data hasn't been there. But now, as you're going to see with these numbers, we're actually starting to see some data showing that the prices are beginning to come down. So I just want to make sure that we're not giving an opinion over here. So a lot of times we delay in saying something, even though our gut and our conversations with people are telling us one thing. Without the data, we typically will not come out and say it. So I just want to make sure people understand that.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to clarify. And one of the reasons is because, Abe and I may give you all a little bit more information on a one-on-one conversation. And that's because we get to understand the transaction, the specific property. So if we are too open about our opinions may not apply to every situation. So it becomes one of those, it's a danger point where we could actually be misguiding people unintentionally. So that's kind of one of my intentions as to why we do it the way we do it. But let's get into it. What do we have?
Yeah, so let's start with the, let me pull this up on the screen real quick. I want to start with single family homes, and these are just resale only. Again, we don't talk much about new construction because that's a whole different dynamic. There's a lot of variables that go into that, and it really doesn't matter to you because you're not a builder, right? So you're a homeowner. So we look at numbers that pertain to you and your property. The big number that really stands out, and this is something that's been happening for quite a few months now, is the number of closed sales has been going down month after month after month. Now, what that means is we're selling less homes as a market. We're selling less homes as a country. So this is a national trend that's happening, and it's something that we're not immune to in our market. So the number of closed sales, number of sold homes, single family homes for the month of September was down 32% compared to last year, September. So year over year, September 2022, almost a third less homes were sold compared to last year at the same month. That's a big number.
Yeah, and we're starting to feel it. As in the real estate industry, we're starting to feel it. And I know, I heard a statistic the other day that that they're projecting, the association is projecting maybe 500,000 people may not renew their real estate license in the next, in the next 12 months, in the next year. So that's not only our homeowners feeling this and buyers, but real estate agents. I mean, it's like a third of their business is gone.
Yeah, this is what's being called a housing recession right now. So a lot of economists are unwilling to say that we're in an economic recession, but there's no question that we're in a housing recession right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the second number, I mean, we gave you the answer right there, but let's skip over the median sales price if you can. Let's look at the month supply. That means there's 2.2 months worth of single family homes on the market right now. What that means that if no homes hit the market at all, okay, which is not realistic, but just hypothetically speaking, we would run out of homes in 2.2 months. So that's typically the gauge that we look at when we look at home inventory, housing inventory. That number is up 47% compared to last year at this time.
Yeah. Now this is a big one. So now here's what's key. If we were to go back, Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV, and go back to some of the episodes, I don't know when it would be, but I'm going to just say last year, sometime last year, I believe we probably saw month supply 2.2 go down to 2.2. And I would imagine at that time, me and you were like, holy cow, this market is so hot at 2.2. And right now it's going up. It doesn't seem to go up too much. It's going up from, like, let's say a 1.7 to a 2.2. That doesn't seem like much of a movement. I mean, it is 47% year over year. But I think another way we could put this into perspective, what does this really mean to the consumer? Here's what it means. And there's not a perfect science to this, but when we're at 2.2, when we're under 3.5 months of supply, we're still saying it's a seller's market. When we start to get into that 4 or 5 months, 4 months, we might start saying that's kind of like a neutral market. Both buyers and sellers kind of equally, are equal. Less than 4 months, seller's market. 5, 6 months, buyer's market. So we have no clue where we're going to be getting on this month's supply. But for those of you that are listening, 2.2 follows under the definition of it's a seller's market. It's when this number gets to 3, which will really raise my eyebrow. And if we get to 4, then I know we're definitely at a neutral, but trending towards a buyer's market. If we get to 5, no idea if we'll get there. But if we do, it's obviously a buyer's market. So that's why Abe and I will look at this number so often, is we just want to kind of get an idea of what direction are we heading? Where are we?
That's a great point, Greg. When you look at 2.2 in a bubble, in a vacuum, take away what we've been through the last 2 years, that's a very, very strong seller's market typically, right? In normal conditions. Now, just as important as what that number is, and we pay very close attention to this, is also how quickly that number changed. To me, that's a bigger indicator of what's truly happening in the market right now. That number was 1 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. So going from 1 to a 2.2 to me is like pretty strong indicator of how the market's changed on us, even though we're still in a seller's market right now.
Yeah. So it's really over 100% if we go back to its lowest point.
That's correct.
Which would have been this year, sometime this year.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay.
We were sitting at a 1 month supply.
Yeah. And we're feeling it. We are definitely feeling it. We are seeing, what's interesting, and it probably takes a longer conversation, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot more inventory than there was, even though there is. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot more, but there's a lot, but there's just a lot fewer buyers. That's one of the challenges. Like we have probably a declining demand is affecting our market more than an increase in supply at this moment.
No question about that. Percent of list price, percent of asking price is 98.5%. What that means is homes are selling right now at 98.5% of what they're listed for. So we're no longer getting full price offers. We're no longer getting offers above asking price. So that's the lowest number since February of 2021.
Yeah. Got it. I don't know if it ever hit over 100%, but we all know that full price or over full price is what we are getting. So in many scenarios, it was over 100%. Now now there's some negotiations going on.
No question about it. Yeah, this is where you need an agent with strong negotiating skills, because those are definitely back in play now. Mm-hmm. Days on the market, DOM, is up 7% year over year. So it's taken a little bit. Again, it's been a slow gradually increase with days on the market taking a little bit longer to sell. And that's because, as you mentioned a minute ago, less buyers out there going around throwing offers at properties. So let's go back to the median sales price. Have prices come down with single family homes, and then we'll address the new listings. So when we look at since May, our median sales price for single family homes is down 8.6%. I'm trying to give me a second. Let me pull up what it was back in May, what we peaked at.
And I believe, while you're pulling that up, I believe for the audience that, this is one of the first times in a while that we've actually seen median sales price go down. I think we started catching this maybe a month ago, and now we're starting to see that trend. Of course, this is not the time to be alarmed. Oh my gosh, it's crashing. Nope, that's not what we're saying. But we were saying the opposite before, as sales prices going up, and for the first time in the past, since a while, it's showing some sort of reversal.
Yeah, at least in our market, they definitely 100% have stopped going up, right? So back in May, the median sales price in our overall market here was $380,000. In June, it actually dropped to $370,000, Greg. I didn't say anything. It wasn't a big deal for me because that's when we really saw all of a sudden, almost like we hit a wall, right? Because that's when interest rates started going up. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe that was just a knee-jerk reaction by the market.
Yeah.
Let's just not even look at 1 month. And then so that number was 370 in June. July was the same exact number, 370. So I'm like, okay, maybe prices aren't going anywhere. That was just a little knee-jerk reaction. But then you look at August, it dropped to 350 in August, and then again at 347.5 at the end of September. So now we went from 380 in May down to 347.5 at the end of September. So now we're starting to see it really impacting the market.
Yeah.
So when you compare September back to May, it's an 8.6% drop.
So you said something I want to just kind of highlight a little bit, and that is, you saw this before and you really didn't say anything. So for those of you that are listening to these updates, that's a very common thing between Abe and I, is we'll see things, but we won't say anything until we've seen maybe 3 consecutive months of movement. So we don't know the first time we see something, the first month we see a number, we don't know, is that just a like you said, a knee-jerk reaction to something that happened recently, or is it a trend? It's kind of like, is that a fad that's going to go away really quickly, or is that a trend that's going to stick around for a while? So we wanted to make sure before we said anything that we knew whether or not it was going to be a trend or not. And the way that we kind of interpret a trend is if something happens 3 months in a row, then at that point we start to think, okay, this looks like a trend, and then we start reporting on it. We just don't want to alarm people when it's unnecessary. So right now, from what I heard, you're saying it seems to be trending in this direction now.
100%.
Okay.
And then the last number, again, let's go back to new listings on the market, because this is kind of like, if it wasn't for this, I really think that the market would be a whole lot worse. New listings in the market were down 19, almost 20% in September. What that means, less sellers are putting their property on the market. And again, this is a national trend. For the last 10 to 12 weeks, we've seen new listings be down compared to last year in the entire country, almost every single market. So if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be sitting at a 2.2 month supply inventory. We could be maybe 3.5% by now, or 3.5 months supply of inventory by now, if it wasn't for this one particular number.
Yeah. And again, Abe, what we're doing is we're bringing information, but the important thing about information is also to add our interpretation of this information. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about the interpretive side. Right. And when it comes to new listings down. So when I'm dealing with sellers, and Abe, you're probably dealing with the same thing, we have sellers saying to us, boy, I wish I would have sold 6 months ago. Oh, I missed the market. I'm not going to be able to sell. I wish I would have sold 6 months ago. They say that because they're not confident that they can get that high price. So they hold it off the market. Then we have people saying things like, Well, I wanted to sell, but I have a 3.5% interest rate on my current home. If I sell and buy something else, I'm going to have to pay a 7% interest rate. I can't afford to actually buy anything else, so I'm going to have to stay put. That's another thing that people are saying. So when you look at those two things, and I'm sure there's many other factors that that potential sellers are factoring in that either causes them to move forward, or in this case, kind of like not move at all. That's contributing to this new listings down 19.7%. Now, how long will that last? If maybe they can hold off their plans, maybe interest rates will go down. We don't know that, but a lot of people, were very motivated by the prices and the interest rates. And when you look at prices are softening and interest rates have sharply increased, a lot of the people are no longer motivated to sell. So we'll see what happens, over time. But that right there, I think you said it earlier, Abe, that might be a blessing in disguise, because if all of them were on the market right now, with the demand being as low as it would, we would have probably seen the prices dropping a lot faster.
No question. Yeah.
So we surely are not hoping they all flood the market at this moment.
All right, let's look at the condos real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So start off with closed sales down 33%. So very similar to the single family home. A third less condos sold last month than they did in 2021. Month supply is up to 2. So that was, I want to say at the bottom, we had about an 18-day supply of condo inventory in the home market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now it's up 82% year over year for the month supply of inventory. Asking to list is 98%. That's the lowest amount we're getting since April of 2021. Days on the market is up 17%. And then median sales price is actually up, Greg, 31% year over year compared to last year. But the reason, let me explain that. The reason for that is, so the real estate market's been on fire for 2.5 years across the whole country. We started feeling prices go up tremendously since COVID. Now, the weird thing about our condo market, we didn't start seeing condo appreciation in general until about December of 2021. So it was lagging behind the housing market a good 18 months or so. Ever since December 2021, we started seeing condo prices go up, especially on the ocean front, but really the entire condo market. And then prices peaked sometime around April or May, somewhere in that ballpark. I think it was May. So compared to last year, even right now, compared to last year, they're still up 31% compared to last year, but they're down 4% from the peak, which was in May.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're
again,
just now starting
Yep.
to see a little bit of a softening there, and we'll see what happens. But we're just now starting to see the first signs that it might be following the home residential.
Yeah. So looking back at a chart, if you look at a chart, we can see where it actually topped off. So that was back in May where the peak was, and now we're on our way down. Hopefully, it won't go too far down.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, the same saving grace on this one is new listings are down 26% in September. So the same thing as the housing market. We're not seeing people, even though some people are a lot more pessimistic on condos than they are on homes. We're not seeing that flooding of the condo market with owners here in the market, with the exception of about maybe 5 to 7 different condo buildings here on the ocean front, where we saw inventory tremendously go up during this period.
Yeah. And I think what'll tell the tale with the condos on the inventory is how well they're going to fare with rental income. Mm-hmm. So is the inflation going to, is it going to hurt their bookings? Are they going to have to discount their prices in order to fill their rooms, to fill their weeks and their weekends with rentals? I don't know. We're not in the rental business. We're in the sales business, but we'll see how inflation impacts travel to Myrtle Beach. If we start to see the rental numbers going down, then there are some people that relied on those rental numbers to pay the bills, and so we may see a little bit more inventory hitting the market. But that's extremely speculative. That's to be determined. We'll be keeping our eyes on that for sure.
Yeah, we base that off of conversations. I've talked to a lot of condo owners where the only reason that they haven't put their condo up for sale is because the rental numbers have been so strong the last couple of years.
That's right. So we'll see how that fares out. Hopefully that it stays strong. That's what we're hoping for our market's sake. Okay, Abe. Well, that's solid. I hope you all appreciate the information that we're bringing to you with Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV. I feel comfortable and very confident that we're bringing very accurate data, so you can make good real estate decisions, whether you sell or hold. That's a personal decision. But if you do need some information, would just like to get a little deeper analysis on any of your investments, your home, please reach out to Abe and I. Our telephone numbers are right there at the bottom of the screen. Abe, I sure do appreciate the time, and we'll join together next week to do it again.
We'll see you next week. Thank you all for watching.